I'd like to call the Mount Olive Township Workshop Meeting for July 21st, 2015 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for our men and women serving. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Lisa, if you would read the Open Public Meetings Act, please.
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda? Mrs. Leybow?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Frente?
Here.
Mr. Nicastro?
Here. First item up is the reopening of Gold Mine Road. We have a report from Sergeant Pokwa. I always say it wrong way.
Good evening. I think everybody kind of knows I've spoken. Since we opened it up, we've got a reduction of 700 cars per week onto 46.
Wow.
I don't know how you can say anything other than that it's been a success. It was by far the very, very, very best thing to do. We still have some cars going the wrong way, which we're dealing with. I guess I can take some questions from you if you...
Ms. Leybow?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mike, how about is there additional traffic going through the neighborhood in country? There were some people like on the corner, especially on Tanglewood.
I'm sure there are on Tanglewood. Tanglewood has probably seen an increase. As a matter of fact, that's the one area I had checked previously on Tanglewood prior to the opening.
Right.
And then I just never checked it again because my main concern was how many cars were actually going out that way. Has Tanglewood seen an increase? Absolutely.
Yeah,
have we gotten
I'm sure
any
that they
complaints?
have.
Not a one.
Okay, because I mean, if it was people speeding and driving erratically, we would have heard.
Yeah,
So if it's just normal-
I would have gotten something. I mean, the phone
Right.
calls come to me. So far, nothing at all from anybody. So
Fortunately,
it's good.
that section of Tanglewood right there when you turn off of Rolling Hill, or not Rolling Hills, Connolly, it's really short, so it's not like anybody can really speed up.
It's very short.
Yes,
So
that's a plus.
they
That's a
can't
huge
get a whole
plus.
lot of speed up there.
Yeah, so that would be my fear if I was living there, people speeding up. If they're slowing down, they're making their turn, and they're, that's fine.
We are currently dealing with a speeding problem actually on Connolly. We've gotten a few complaints for that. I'm working with they have I don't even want to call it a homeowners association up there. They have a group of people that kind of watch out for everybody. It's an organization that they all get together and they have for lack of better words, I'm just going to call it a group of people that have gotten together, Neighborhood Watch. They've called me. They've had some complaints about speeding. I've done one speed check up there. It's not terrible. I mean, for a 25-mile-an-hour zone, I believe, and don't quote me on it, I think the numbers came out to around 32 miles an hour, 33 as an 85th percentile, which is what the average speed is, for lack of better phrase. It's not a terribly. There's not a ton of speeding going on up there. I think we're in pretty good shape.
Do we have any of those, the traffic speed light things that we have on Corey?
We do. We're in the process, and this is interesting you brought that up. We're in the process of we just staked out 10 locations today for the new signs. They're going to range everywhere from Sandshore Road to Wolf Road over here, right in front of the middle school, to down by in Clover Hill. We're going to put 2 of them down by Flanders Park. And again, there's 5 signs. And this is, if you recall, about 3 months ago, we purchased $30,000 worth of these traffic radar signs. That's what this is.
The solar power? Or
These are the solar powered. Now,
they
we
can
do
be
have
moved?
one. It's a shame I didn't bring it with me tonight. We have a small one. It's about the size of 2 clipboards. You'll see it occasionally when you drive down the road. It's just a single sign. I've had it out there now for, it's got to be almost a month at different locations. That's the portable one that's battery operated that we can place anywhere. All we need to do to put that up is to have a U-channeled post. That can be a stop sign, that can be a speed limit sign, that can be anything, anywhere. So that's the nice portable one that we purchased that we can move around anywhere, so that we don't have to have a permanent solar sign. If we get a complaint from Mrs. Smith on Drakestown Road, well, I can put something right in front of her house. I just have to get John Hope from the road department to put a U-channeled post right in the roadway, and bang, we put it right up for her. So that's been huge plus for us since we've
Do we
got
have any police
it.
cars that are sort of like not being used that often? We could just park that on Connolly.
Yeah, you
That
could, but
usually work.
you could, but the problem is you leave it, you
Yeah.
got to pick it up.
I know.
So that's the issue with that.
Well, same
Um,
thing with the portable speed limit sign. You got to pick that up too. But
You do, but that is one of those things that can stay there, and it's on a sign, and it's so small,
yeah,
nobody,
yeah.
it's secure,
I'm
and nobody
teasing
messes
you.
with it. So, and it's, but we used to have the radar trailer. Some of you may remember that. The problem with the radar trailer is parking it. We have nowhere to fit it on any road. We'd love to put it on Corey Road in some areas. It just takes up a lot of space. So,
Mr. Roman?
The question I have regarding the number of vehicles, is this, do you think it's peaked?
I think so.
So you
I think
pretty
it's
much
peaked.
plateaued?
I
You
think it's
don't
plateaued.
anticipate- Okay.
I don't expect it to go any higher. I could always do a follow-up later on down the road, but I think we're going to find almost the exact same numbers. I think it's peaked. Everyone knows it's there. We're trying to lower the number of cars that are coming the wrong way. Obviously, you see, that's 24 now a day, up from 8 because more people know about it. So we've got a directed patrol up there. Unfortunately, I tried to run some numbers today, but I was unable. We had some computer problems. I wanted to get some numbers to see how many summonses we had written, or at least how many stops we've had. I don't have that information, but the guys are up there. I think we're in really good shape with this. I don't see any. It's marked well.
And do you anticipate that accidents at that intersection on 46 have decreased? Have
That's
you seen any
another
data?
thing, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I am anticipating that has been reduced, but again, I don't have the data on that yet. Once I have it, I will forward that to you because that's something that we want to find out what's going on. Sometimes we want to take a little more, a longer data sample when it comes to accidents because they happen so infrequently. Where we've seen a huge reduction in accidents is at the intersection of Wolf Road and 46. Since we've taken out that berm, it's been at least a 50-cent reduction in accidents there. I think it's higher. I don't have the numbers here in front of me, but we just submitted something to the state for an award for that, simply because we took it upon ourselves to improve an intersection and to reduce the accidents by 25% is tremendous. 50% is incredible, and even I think it's even a little higher than that.
Well, speaking of accidents on Wolf and 46, are you guys going to be doing any research or study into the Old Wolf and 46 intersection? Because if Wolf and 46 were a problem, I think Old Wolf and 46 is an even greater problem.
Agreed. We've been down this road before. The problem we're having is right now we have approximately 4,000 cars a day make a left-hand turn onto Old Wolf Road. About 4,000. That's a lot of cars. If we were to make no left turn there, that would solve a lot of our problems in terms of accidents at that intersection. The problem we have, and if I haven't spoken about this before, if I have, I apologize, but the problem we have is we're going to take those 4,000 cars and we're going to move them down to the intersection of Wolf Road and 46. And that intersection can't handle an additional 4,000 cars at this time until the DOT redesigns the intersection. We've sent them a redesign. We've requested a redesign.
Now, is that a redesign of Wolf and 46?
Of Wolf and 46, so that once we get the redesign of Wolf and 46, we can shut down the left-hand turn, make no left-hand turn at Old Wolf. So that you have to go down to the intersection of Wolf and 46.
Has there been any talk into making Old Wolf and 46, changing that from a diagonal turn, to just like a regular perpendicular 90-degree turn? Because a lot of the accidents that I see are people just jumping the turn. They're already going down 46, and so that they don't have to come to a stop because it's already veering. Because if we made it a right angle, they would have to slow down significantly, and that might avoid some accidents.
The issue there would be property. That's the main crux of what we have. We don't have property with the bar there. We don't have property to push that further. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that we couldn't at some point possibly look at closing that off and making that turn a little further down past the parking lot of the bar and cutting in through there? That may not be a bad idea. The problem with that is, and I believe that the town would bear the entire cost of that because that's township property. Technically, we're responsible for Old Wolf Road. So That's something we could speak with our engineer, Gene Bazinski, about, if it's something that, it's not a bad idea, but we really, really want to push DOT to redesign the intersection at Wolf so we can just make no left-hand turn and push everybody down. And I'm sorry, Mr. Canning?
If you remember, the DOT is part of the resurfacing project from Sand Shore to Sand Shore. We did push them last year. I believe you were in the meetings, or maybe the chief. And we pushed hard, but DOT has made it very clear they're not going to redesign Wolf Road. They may adjust some timings. And I think at one point they had indicated a no left turn going eastbound, but that isn't our problem.
That didn't solve anything, so
yeah,
we were
that's-
vehemently against no left turn going onto Smithtown coming from the
We
dealerships.
recognize that was not the problem.
That
DOT
wasn't-
made it
that's-
very clear their position, they're not going to entertain it. They'll pay for the paving, and it's typical state, take it or leave it. And unfortunately, that's not the answer none of any of us want.
Will they do anything with the traffic lights themselves as far as the left-hand turn going onto 46? Because you can't see over that hill is another problem.
Yeah,
don't know how
I
much
think
of a
they
problem.
agreed to examine the timing on that.
They-
and do some
they
more
did.
traffic studies
Um,
and adjust accordingly.
It was, the last that I had spoken with them was, we'll get back to you on that. And God bless the DOT. They're busy. They're probably understaffed, I'm guessing, like anything else. So the wheels of justice turn slowly.
Mr. Roman, Mr. Canning, I know you had something else.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate the police department on this, and thank council. The mayor, this was one of his priorities in 2012. It's been a long road, no pun intended, to get the Connolly Road area residents just a safe egress out of the area. It's not the optimal solutions. Many times in government it isn't. We'd been pursuing other avenues, particularly through Lamberson Circle. It just didn't work out. In the end, it's significant. What strikes me is the 750 vehicles, I believe, per week.
A week.
It's about 36,000. Now, I'm sure many of them are repeat customers, but that's 36,000 left-hand turns per year that maybe we can avoid a tragedy at Route 46 in Connolly. So for that reason alone, it's not optimal. You're going further up on 206 and behind the ITC rather than down to Mount Olive Road, but it's still a solution nonetheless, and I'm glad to see that people are taking advantage of it. So thank
Yeah.
the chief and the police department. They did a magnificent job, and
Thanks.
Mike always does, and he's very thorough in his responses.
Thank you.
Kelly?
Mike, I just want to ask you one question on another property to see what the status is on Sand Shore Road and Forest, or Elizabeth. That
Sa-
fence, the white fence,
It's been moved.
They
I
did
checked
move
it
it?
today.
Oh, because I checked it the other day. When did, they must have moved it this weekend?
I checked it today. It is
Great.
100% improved. It's taken care of. We don't
Oh,
need to
good.
worry about it
'Cause-
anymore. The trees are still there, but they were there
Yeah,
anyway.
but the trees were there
But
before, too.
The fence has been moved back, so
Yeah, I got calls from-
problem solved.
I got
Very
calls
nice
from
guys
3
down there.
relatives,
There are a
yeah.
couple brothers that from out of state, and they bought the house to enjoy it during the summer.
Yeah,
And so they were
that's
real
good.
cooperative when I was with them, and they've moved it back.
Oh,
So
great. Yeah, because I had 3 residents call, and I went down and checked it out myself, and I was like, my God, it's amazing. It is the tree that's really the problem, but with the fence right there next to the tree, it created more of a site.
No, it did, absolutely. It was a problem.
restriction.
But
Yeah.
it's fixed. We're good. They've moved it back
It's
behind the
amazing,
trees.
like on the corner of Wolf and 46, just the fact that you took out that berm improved things tremendously.
Sight
It's-
triangles or everything.
It's so important.
Yep, you
Just-
got to be able to see with pull out.
Great, thank you.
So no problem.
Mr. Roman?
Sean, are you aware of any studies that Gene may have done as far as that intersection at Old Wolf and 46? Because as I'm looking here at the property, I mean, maybe it's not a case of taking away from the High Noon Bar, but moving that intersection a little bit more where that, it looks like a drainage ditch. You know, I mean, obviously Gene would be the expert on this as to the.
I can check. I can almost guarantee. I know. When Scott was in the police department, they had done some ancillary work on the intersection. So we find out from Gene and Scott, and I'm sure you probably have access to old studies there as well. So.
Yeah, because I mean, I for one, at least think that we should be at least informed of the possibility, one, if it can be done, and how much it would cost, so that way we can make a decision in what direction or not. Because, I mean, obviously, you know, from my position where I'm at, I see the accidents and I hear them, and
Okay.
Don't forget that's
There-
part of the
there's
Highlands
a lot-
redevelopment as zone as well. So maybe it's an opportunity with the
Yeah.
Highlands redevelopment grant funding. Maybe that's something we can look into as well. It's smack in the middle of that redevelopment zone. So
I
wanna
think-
pick Chuck's brains as well.
My opinion is, if it's going to be fixed, it needs to be fixed by us, and I believe we can do it. I just think that there's a way. It's just a matter of us putting our heads together and I will be happy if Mr. Canning wants to send over something to the chief, and then I'll be happy to, we'll talk this week, and I'll sit with Gene, we'll put our heads together, and we'll come up with the best solution that we have, and then you guys can take a look at it and make a decision on how we may want to move forward.
Hey, Mike, one last quick thing on that. Corey Road, did they fix, I know you've been trying to get that battery for that one.
Okay, here's the deal
How
with the
long
signs
that
on
one
Corey
was.
Road. A lot of questions, I know, I get it. We got a couple things going on. I've been in touch with the company finally this week. We did get a battery for the one. They've been intermittent. We're not thrilled with the signs, but the short answer, we're going to get them fixed. I contacted the company. What we need to do is we need to cut a PO, get it sent out to them for diagnostics. It's about $100 for diagnostics. It's not terrible. So I'm going to be taking them down, if not this week. I'm going away next week. When I get back from that, I'm going to be taking them down. We're going to ship them out to the company, and then they're going to get back to us and let us know how much it is to fix. And then I'll be speaking with the chief in terms of that, and then we'll check budgets, and we'll see what's going to be necessary to get them fixed. So we're working on it. We certainly want to get them fixed before the, for the
Right,
school.
before school.
We're also working on, I don't know if you've noticed, an awful lot of pedestrian crosswalk signs have been knocked over. We're in the process, I'm working with Timmy Quinn over in the road department. We're in the process of trying to get those back up. It's just been a little bit of a slower roll than I would have hoped, but we're getting there. So
Thank you.
Timmy's a good man.
Appreciate that. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Okay. You guys have a great evening. Thanks for having me, and thanks for getting me on first. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take
Mike.
care.
Nice job.
You
All
got
right,
it.
thank
Great
you.
job, thank you.
It's good it's overtime.
Update on the auction.
The auctions. I sent a memo to council last week. Latest round was very successful. The net sale that you see of $20,490 is going to be reduced a little bit. We had a buyer back out on 2 vehicles, but they're immediately being relisted. So we anticipate it's going to be right around that same $20,000 number. And I just wanted to give some context to it. Since 2012, when we adopted this policy of being very aggressive in our obsolete equipment and using the GovDeals online methodology of getting rid of not just vehicles, computers, and anything else that's not nailed down around here that's obsolete. We've cleared over $100,396.51. All that goes right back into the township surplus, and it helps offset next year's budget. So, it's been a success.
Very nice. Mr. Roman?
John, is there going to be a system in place to get these vehicles up to auction a little bit sooner? Because some of these vehicles, I think, they were sitting in mothballs in the back of there for quite a while. And the longer a vehicle sits, obviously it depreciates in value.
I've been trying to work with Joe and Fleet. We had a couple issues why they didn't get sooner. One, we had a injured employee, so that reduced our staff from 4 to 3 for a significant amount of time. 2, he's onboarding the new vehicles and trying to get them out into the field, so that creates a delay in getting the other vehicles out to auction.
Right, but do we have at least a system in place where once a vehicle, we have them, they go from the police department to find out, once the police is done with them, we find out to see what other department might need them. And let's assume no department needs them. Is there like a metric? Is there a system in
It's
place?
mainly when we're supposed to be doing it every quarter. I've been backing off for the last year, only for 2 issues. One is the one I just cited about the lack of staff and him trying to get the vehicles going. The other one is advertisement costs. Every time if I'm to do multiple 3 cars, 2 cars, 3 cars, not that they're significant, but every time we go out, it's about $100 every time we go out, whereas I've been holding off from trying to, I think our last auction was March, so we're about 4 months since our last auction. This was a big one. We had a lot of vehicles on site.
Right, I don't think the delay in 3-4 months is an issue. To me, it's just like years, because just the one, that 2001 Audi S4, I think it's been probably sitting back there for years.
That one's a little bit different. That was a police forfeiture vehicle, so it wasn't, that's any
It
forfeiture vehicle.
took us a while to get the title.
Well, no, not so much that. The chief has the final say on all forfeiture vehicles. They buy it with their own, drug forfeiture money. They have to get approval from the county prosecutors, and sometimes those vehicles do sit there for quite some time, and I can't rush the chief. He's on,
No,
I'm not.
I agree.
So,
Anything else?
Joe?
Yes, go ahead.
Since we're talking about vehicles, vehicle I mentioned to you 2 weeks ago, Sean, about it had to be left running because otherwise it might not start. Did you check that out?
I haven't talked to the chief
Okay.
yet on that. I have my own opinion on that as well, but
Yeah.
it might be a question for Alex. It has to do with electrical load. There's concern over sometimes emergency vehicles if the ignitions are left on, one of the reports back to Councilwoman Leibau is the energy draw from the radios and the lights and all the other electric equipment, not just police vehicles, but also ambulances and the like, that if they shut them off, that it just runs down the battery and they can't start it up.
Most of the police vehicles, I assume, are equipped with 2 batteries, and they're high-capacity batteries, and they'll easily handle, leaving the ignition on. Because I'm assuming you guys gotta leave the key on in order to keep the computers powered up.
And that's the presentation. Again, this is the chief's call. I mean,
Yeah.
we could sit there and say whatever at the end of the day, but legally, it's the chief's
This-
call whether he wants to
Right, because
enforce it or
you
not.
actually, if your concern is
I'll tell you-
fuel, is the
Yeah.
waste of fuel, you actually burn more fuel starting up a car than letting it idle.
Except the reason why I'm saying this is I was at an Eagle Scout ceremony. Joe, you were at that one too?
Yep.
Just in the beginning?
right.
I got there before you, and when I parked next to the police car, it was one of the, what do you call it, SUVs, and it was running, and I was like, okay, he probably just is running it, but it turned out he was waiting. It was another 45 minutes before the ceremony started. That truck was running the whole entire time. So finally I said, why is that truck running? He goes, oh, that's one of the ones, if I turn it off, sometimes it doesn't always start right back up again. And I said, you have to understand, we, as council members, get comments from the public that the vehicle is left running, and why is that so? I said, so maybe you should get that fixed so you don't leave it running for an hour. I mean, it was literally about an hour and a half all total that it was running, and that's
I
where
would
my
defer-
concern came in.
I would defer all concerns to the chief of police in that matter and make him answer for it.
So I agree with you 100%, Alex, starting, yes, you do, but to leave a vehicle sitting there for an hour and a half running is, fix it, whatever it is, fix it. Don't leave it running for an hour and a half, that's where my concern came in. So you're gonna talk to chief, or you want me to?
I would defer all concerns to the chief of police, who legally has a final say in this matter, whether the cars run or not. Come budget time, if he has too many vehicles because they idle too long, then council can call him on the mat and say, well, what are you doing? Time to change policy. Not to be blunt, that's
Yeah,
Right.
got it.
legally, we
I mean, I
can
think
jump
it's
up and down and yell what he wants. It's his call at the end of the
I
day.
mean, I don't wanna be nitpicky about it, but that's a really long time.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
Leave
we'll
it to the
find out.
chief.
I
Any
do
other
have a note here to
questions?
contact the chief, though.
Okay.
Any other questions on any resolutions? I mean,
You're on
we're
resolutions?
No, we're not yet.
Oh,
That
I'm
was
sorry.
the auction. She had a question on that. So seeing none, we have 14 resolutions. Anyone have any concerns, questions, Mr. Maney?
Yeah, I have a question, Sean. Resolution number 2, Route 23 patio in Mason. What town is that in?
I don't know without looking up at the top of my head. I'd have to look up.
Sounds like
we can-
Wayne.
Route 23, it's not close.
Could be Jefferson, I think
Oh,
it's Mason.
It could be
Jefferson.
anywhere from Sussex County down
Mount
to Pequannock Wayne area, or further south.
Well,
Cedar
Route
Grove.
23 patio in Mason, I think, is up in Wantage.
Well, it's a Morris County co-op contract.
Do we pick stuff up there? Or
Well,
do
this
they
is the-
deliver?
this is the first time I believe we've used this county co-op contract. If council likes, we could table this, they could pull the whole contract down, bring it to the next meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Because if we have to go pick stuff up all the way in Wantage, that's quite a haul.
It's in Hamburg, I'm looking.
Yeah,
up.
unless they
It's in
deliver.
Hamburg.
We'd have to pull the contract
Well,
and
that's
find
why
out
I
the
asked, do
terms
they
of the
deliver or
contract.
do we have to pick up?
That's Hamburg. All right, why don't we
It's in
table this,
Hamburg.
set it aside, and I'll bring on to the, at the August 4th
So
meeting
we're
then.
gonna move that then.
We're taking it off
Uh,
completely.
that-
Just taking it off.
That doesn't put any burden on us in any way, right? Correct?
Does it
Well,
delay?
we are in the middle, we're in the middle of catch basin season right now, but I don't think commodity-wise we're over the bid threshold. We'd have to check on catch basin block.
Definitely not, but I mean, if he has already been sent out at this point,
They don't approve it, we cancel. Okay, purchasing-wise, the legal answer for this is, operations-wise, if we're below the bid threshold, which I think we are, we're in the middle of the catch basin season, we can just get 3 quotes and go that way. What's that?
it's only for about 5,000.
Okay, Sherry says it's about 5,000, which is below our quote threshold, so we can get 1 quote and go elsewhere, and for the 2 weeks, examine the contract and bring it back. All right,
So we'll pull that
okay.
resolution, okay. Anyone else have any questions? Mr. Roman?
Yeah, I'd just like to praise the administration for getting us out of that Sincartha contract. Just kind of worried for a while that we'd be the proud owners of a landfill. And I think we, based on able to keep the $20,000 deposit, I assume that we're breaking even, assuming, taking into account legal fees and man hours.
Well, Jeff and Fred's office did most of the legwork on that. I don't, we didn't enter into litigation, correct? So that was just
Right,
part of
there's-
our
right, there's no
retainer.
litigation, right.
I do want to thank Jeff and Fred and John Dorsey, who did a lot of work when we first, this was existent when the mayor took office and before he'd come on the scene. And everybody involved, the mayor, like I said, Jeff, Fred, John Dorsey, we went right up to the edge of taking title to that, and we did all our due diligence. We had the insurance company, or insurance policies in place, but it was a very good move, and I want to congratulate everybody involved that we didn't go over the goal line until we knew that there was going to be positive cash flow coming in to cover our expenses, and it never got to that. And the DEP actually is the one, it's their policy to get rid of these brownfields, and when it came time for them to step up, and all Sincarfa wanted was to shore up that cap so they can move forward and make a good business decision, the DEP didn't want to do it. And I understand there's funding problems in Trenton as well, but they had an opportunity here to get rid of it, but in the end, we're fine.
Anything else in the resolutions? Seeing none, any old business? Mr. Roman?
John, on the dam over at the MUA, is there any movement on that? Is there any possibility that we can force the MUA to mitigate that dam, either make them go, bond? Do we have any recourse in that?
I checked after one of I'll look back my notes, about 3 months ago, I believe we spoke about this, 3 or 4 months ago, I contacted the dam safety section of the DEP. Their most recent record, thorough. The most recent record, I believe, was 2 years ago. The dam did pass safety. Outside of that, I don't think there's anything we could force them. There's no indication that it's unsafe or that it's in imminent danger of collapse. Not to say that anything can happen, but DEP's position is it's a safe structure currently.
But if I'm correct, did the MUA abandon even monitoring that property? Because normally, if I recall correctly, if we had a private company, let's say a quarry or a business that decided to abandon a dam, they would be forced, to do something with that dam, to make it safe, because they're no longer, they stopped operations on that MUA property.
That's probably a legal question, Jeff. I guess we could speak to this tomorrow.
Sure, yeah, we can talk about it.
Because if the MUA were to be forced to go out to bond and fix that dam, it would make that property attractive, that maybe we could end up using it for something, because I know we definitely don't want that property with a dam on there.
No, matter of fact, they had offered it to us, and we didn't want the liability of having to maintain and possibly have a failure.
So that's,
I'll look into it, Jeff, we'll look into the legal answer. And then if they do have an obligation, a legal obligation that they have to maintain, then we'll certainly put them on notice about that, and they can either fulfill their obligations or move it along.
Yep, go ahead.
Can we also find
Sure.
out if there's some kind of a checklist kind of a thing, or a time frame they have to inspect to, are they accountable to anybody? Like, can they just say, oh yeah, we're watching it, but then we don't know if they really are or they aren't? That kind of a thing.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other old business?
I'm still on resolution. Sherry just
Oh,
realized
resolution.
something.
Yeah,
with,
I quick sent a
Okay.
note to Tim because I wanted to confirm that Route 23, Mason and Patio delivers, they do deliver, so we don't have to go get it.
Okay.
Okay? So we're
Does that
fine.
make a difference
I
to you,
mean-
John? Do we keep it on?
Yes and no.
Is you in
It's not-
favor of keeping it
we'll-
on, or you want to wait and see the contract?
We can keep it up.
All right, it's not a big deal either way. We can table it and
Yeah,
save
whatever
the
you're
contract as well.
comfortable with. Doesn't matter. You
I
comfortable?
understood John's opposition when we had to go out and pick it up, but if they're
Right.
delivering it,
If you're all right with
It's a
that,
difference, that's why I
All right,
asked.
we'll keep it on
Is
then.
it being delivered, or are we picking up?
then you're comfortable, we'll put it back on.
Yeah,
Keep it on.
if they're delivering,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Any other old business? Seeing none, new business. First item is discussion of appointment of new council person.
If I can just jump out, I have some other new business before we get to
Sure,
that.
go ahead.
John, the Open Space Committee they did a trailblazing over what they call the Yellow Trail, which is the one by Sanshore and Kennedy.
Yes.
One of the issues that is that there is no parking in order to access there. Can we look into is if maybe Buildings and Grounds can maybe just mow down or just make available like 1 or 2 spots so that people, if wanted to enjoy that trail, won't have to park on Kennedy Road or anything like that.
Yeah, I've been speaking to Jim Lynch and John Geiger about that. That's on their radar just this past couple of weeks between the and the carnival. They haven't had a chance. They're aware of it, and it's on their hit list of things to do. And they did a great job over there. And they'd used, matter of fact, they'd used one of our new GPS devices, which we got from Sustainable New Jersey, which is a nice piece of equipment. So I'm glad to see that they've been using it as well.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Go ahead.
I have 2 items. Number one, Joe, I'm going to bring this up because we were talking about it with Sean before. Anybody, if you get any calls for the recycling center, I had gotten a call from 2 residents. People had to step over the guardrail to get their recyclables into the dumpster. And so I sent Sean an email. He had Tim called me, and they ordered some metal. They're going to make chutes so that people just put it on. It just slides in. So we don't want anybody climbing over this.
Yeah.
The guardrail's really high. I couldn't.
It was, yeah.
And on the other side, it's not level, it's not flat, so it was just a very bad situation. So they're going to fix that up for us. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I'd spoken to Joe about this briefly last week about, and Sean knows, I'm always complaining about the roads in town. I just would really like to see if we can have some kind of a comprehensive plan, like when you're talking about like GPS. I don't know why, like, with our trails, we know like where all the trails are, and we have it all in a map with the colors: yellow trail, red trail, blue trail. Why don't we have the entire town, all the streets, and we know which ones have been paved, which ones scheduled to pave? We could just like go up on the computer and figure it out.
That standard and that direction has been given to the DPW director. It is a lengthy process. We expect that back from Tim. It's not as timely as certainly as I would like or council would like. And I've shared that with the council president and Councilwoman Leibau. The standard was to identify for long-term what our road status is. And council, I think I've said this before to council, after 15 years, the cost of your roads precipitously drop. Your
Right.
first 15 years is the time to maintain them. Crack seal in your budget every year instead of doing the milling and paving. That's the time to go out and once you start getting the alligator cracking, your roads are done at that point. When you see that. So from that 15-year mark onward is when you're doing the every year we're doing the capital paving budget. And again, Tim, maybe I could schedule Tim for a upcoming session. He can explain to council where he's at, where he tends to go. We have a lot of roads in town, but certainly they should be prioritized. Whether it's there's a standard of the American Public Works Association, category 1, 2, 3, so on. As to what we expect to fail within the next 5 years, what is in that middle range. Now, council's gonna have to make a decision if you go down this path, and other communities have successfully done it. At some point, your worst roads, you kind of put off the repaving on them so you can allocate some of your capital towards seal cracking and saving those middle roads and extending the life on that. You're gonna get some hue and cry unless you drastically upgrade the budget on paving, because if you have 20 roads and you can only afford 20 roads or alligator cracking and sealing, well then you pave 10 and you let the other 2 deferred maintenance a little bit. It doesn't, it's not a popular choice, but it's the prudent choice. Long term, eventually you will catch up and have a better set of roads.
I think that part of the problem we have is I haven't seen, I've been on this is my 3rd, I'm getting ready for hopefully my 4th term. I haven't seen a comprehensive plan yet as to whether we're doing sealing or not.
I believe I'm the only administrator that's asked the director
Exactly.
to do that, and it's less than 24 months old.
And and I've been here in this town for 30-something years, since 1980, and I have to say, years ago, I remember I hated it when they would do that. What do they call it, John? The tar and the chips.
The chip seal.
Yeah,
Chip seal.
I hate it when they would do that, only because it was harder for the kids because they would fall on their bikes because it would. But on the other hand, it preserved the roads. We haven't done anything like that, nothing, and we used to do that every like 5 or 6 years. They were going down my street doing that. So I don't know. I hate to be a really big pain, but I'm just letting everybody know. It's just like all of the council members. I'm sure we all get. Every time you see somebody say, "Man, my road's a mess. When are you guys going to pave it? What are you going to do about it?" I want to be able to give the people these answers, and I know we can't nail down an exact date. We can say, "Okay, you're scheduled for 2018," and we'll. Just
I'm in
so we have
agreement with
something.
you. I'll schedule Mr. Quinn for an upcoming meeting, probably late August or early September, and have him come in and tell council what his plan is for the long-term
And not
resurface.
to like micromanage, but I gave you this one suggestion. It was really funny. I mean, our garbage trucks go on every single street in town. If we had to have somebody ride along and just mark down notes on each street to somebody paying attention, I mean,
Wow.
I'll take the ride and do it, you know?
We have enough supervisory staff that we can use other methodology.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure you can, but I'm saying something as simple as that. They can't tell me there's no way to really find out, because there is.
I
There's
agree.
lots of ways, thank you.
I don't
I don't
disagree.
mean to yell, I just, you
Yeah,
know,
no,
I'm
no.
very passionate about this, you know? I just want something done. I want something comprehensive, I want something tangible. Thank you.
We've talked over this, you know my frustration.
I know, I'm always bugging him about it, it's just.
No, I just had the picture of you hanging on the back of the garbage truck trying to take pictures.
We do have that new GPS
I'll be
device.
taking pictures.
Sean, do we have a paving machine?
Yeah, we have the box. Paving, yeah, we have the.
Just the box we have?
Just the box. We don't have
Not a
a
paver.
hot box for the, for the patching. But we have because we've used that in trails as well, too. We've used it up at the Juvenile Trails. That's, worth its weight in gold. I do believe in one of the upcoming capital rounds, you'll see they're going to ask what's called a tow-along hot box. And what that is it prevents your trucks from going to the asphalt plant, coming back, and then having the patch become cold within a couple hours. It keeps it hot all day long. But again, that's a short-term fix. That's something you need come spring, not summertime. when
Yeah,
you're
you
doing
put
it.
down cold asphalt.
It's gone within 48
It's
hours.
gone
Yep.
within 1 year's time.
You're being kind.
Any other questions on that? Any other new business? Okay. Discussion of appointment of new council person. As you know, we have to fill the vacancy of Mr. Perkins, who retired and resigned from the position. The county committee selected 3 people, 2 of which here are this evening, Ralph Ruggiero and Greg Stewart. The county picked 3. We have 15 days from the date that they submitted the names in order to elect someone to fill the position, which we're going to be doing tonight. So right now, during the public meeting, workshop meeting, is there any discussion on it, or anything the council would like to say here?
I would like to hear from the candidates.
I was going to ask them if they'd like to get up and just state your name and address, and if
Give
you
us
want
a
to say a
little-
few things.
Synopsis of
Age before beauty.
Mr. Shy. Hi, for those that I don't know, my name's Greg Stewart. I've lived in town 29 years. I'm the chamber president, been a member of the chamber for 8 years now, chamber president for 4. And one of the things that I do want to recognize is thank you for even considering me, as well as my esteemed colleague over here, Ralph, as well as the other gentleman, Russ. It's a heck of an honor. I've always been involved from a business perspective, and this is something totally different for me. As I said, I've been a chamber president, own my own business for 11 years. Prior to that, I was in corporate America, otherwise known as AT&T, for 32 years in a variety of different management level positions, both from most in the tech field, as well as a general manager, and 10 years on the international field. One of the things that that I'm really proud of is actually the partnership that we do have with the township, you guys here, as well as from the business community, and the fact that we get a great cooperation, a lot of mutual respect from both sides. So it's one of the things that I do want to make sure continues. I'm in my last year of the chamber president. I do have a successor finally that's in line to take over, so that's why when some of the discussions came up, would I be interested, and that's why I said yes. A couple things that from me. As I said, I've been always active in the chamber community. I've also co-chair of the Leadership Morris Alumni Association in Morristown, as well as on the Hackettstown Regional Medical Center Foundation Board of Directors, and also the ECH Essex Catholic High School Foundation down in Newark. One of the things I'm also proud of the fact is my daughter did go through the school system. She's now entering her senior year in college. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we've done from a community perspective. My commitment is to give you guys the best shot I can. And thank you again for thinking about me, and also for considering me. Thank you. Any questions? Thanks.
No, thank you.
Now, for some of you who were at the last meeting, I was actually planning on giving the abridged version tonight. My name is Rafael Ruggiero. My friends do call me Ralph. And I have been a citizen of Mount Olive for going on my 17th year now. One of the things that I've always esteemed to, as a young man, my parents were immigrants, and they taught me pride in this country, and if you work hard, certainly you could achieve. I was raised to love my country, to have faith and believe that America was the greatest country in the world. 16 years ago, once again, going on the 17th, we decided to move from New York City. And we moved to Bud Lake, New Jersey. And it's been a phenomenal life since then. Really love the structure and the growth that I've seen in Mount Olive. We know during 2009 there were some economic challenges throughout the country. And I noticed some of the decisions that were made by the town, and I won't say that I agreed with them all or I was happy, but they were tough decisions, and I respected the decisions, And it just, it helped me as a citizen to really appreciate the leadership that is just, it's sometimes not as respected or seen in such a good light. But I respected the decisions that the town has made, and I see us certainly growing town-wide, and I am very proud of it. I was actually a commuter for many years. I commuted back and forth into New York City while my children enjoyed the fruits of the town, the education system. I worked as a construction super on multiple high-end luxury buildings, infrastructure projects, catch basins, tired of looking at them. You name it. One of my last great projects that I was very proud of was working on Yankee Stadium. And in the interim, while I'm commuting back and forth, I always enjoyed the fact of my kids being in a safe environment in a school, a progressive environment. I mean, I have so much respect for the teachers and the community, the care that they give to the children, and I enjoyed that, and I certainly enjoyed the community, and everything that's been going on with the parks and Turkey Brook and how that's been progressing and growing. I remember when we first started it, it was just 4 soccer fields, and look how it's grown and how it's really progressing. So certainly I appreciated that. My boys did go through the high school system. They are now in college. One is on his last year, and they're looking to come back into Mount Olive and to raise a family in Mount Olive. So that's how much they actually love and respect the community as well. We currently have two girls attending the elementary school, and they love the school system here as well. So why am I here today? Like I said, commuting back and forth, I had that peace of mind, that enjoyment, that my family was in a safe environment, it was being taken care of. And I guess you hit those points in life. Some people call it a midlife crisis. I like to call it more like an awakening. I got tired of commuting, and I really wanted to give back. I wanted to give back to the community. I wanted to give back to my town that really provided so much to myself and my family. So I started, much like Colleen, I started selling real estate within the community. And of course, I always try to promote my community to my clients, the great town that we have here. And that's why I'm here today. I bring my experience of working with various groups, different ethnicities, different life experiences, different backgrounds, working with different folks from all walks of life. I have experience in budgeting and facilitating, negotiating, building, coordinating, and basically really just rolling up my sleeves to get the job done. So I bring it here to the table and ask to be considered for the opportunity of serving the community and to give a portion back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Okay, any other discussion? Yes, Colleen.
I just want to say, I know Ralph has purchased a couple of the vacant homes in town and fixed them up and sold them and improved that way, because I tried selling one of them. So, thank you.
Any other discussion right now? No, seeing none. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? please go up to the podium, state your name and address, please, for the record.
Hello.
Hello.
Hold on a minute, I have my notes here, and they just, of course, turned off the screen. Okay.
Just state your name and address first before you begin,
Yep.
please.
My name's Tara Lauterbach. You want me to spell that? LauT as in Tom, ER, B as in boy, ACH. And I'm at 44 Kevin Drive in Flanders. So I'm here tonight to ask to be put on the agenda for next, I believe the process is you come here and then you get put on the agenda for the next town hall meeting, to request an exploratory search for a community pool. I know there's some, I'm representing a couple of families. There's a growing concern about the splash park. I don't even know the status of it. I know there's some activity going on today with some of the members of, that I'm working with or I'm talking to. But I'm not really caught up to date on that. But I just wanted to come here and let us know that there are several families that are concerned about the splash park. We're also at the same time looking for a home for Mount Olive residents to go to in the summer. Everyone says, oh, you can go to Chester, you can go to Hackettstown, but we are proud in our own town. And what we noticed from when Center Court was more open to people in our community for a pool, we had a really nice growing community of families from Mount Olive. The school children, their friends were there. They had Girl Scout parties, they had birthday parties, and we want to explore to do something like that in our town. Based on what I know from minimal, because this is very new and grassroots, Chester brings in revenue. It's privately held on public land, and they bring in revenue for the town, which is something that if you're looking at the splash park, I'm not quite sure what that's doing. So that's why I'm here tonight, and really to find out the steps to get started on that.
Well, Turkey Brook was purchased through Green Acre funding. So as a result, even if we put that splash pad in, you can't charge a fee for outsiders because it was funded by Green Acres.
If you want, I can just go through the timeline here of how we got to this point. During the budget hearings of both last year in 2014 and this year 2015, the subject of the Bud Lake Beach had come up, and the attendance there just wasn't, you know, we were spending $50,000 a year in lifeguards and staff, and that's a general fund expense, not a capital fund. The general fund is your operating budget every year is what the taxes pay. Whenever there's a capital expense, it's spread out over 10 or 15 or 30 years, kind of like a mortgage. So the Bud Lake Beach was costing, you know, at the time about $50,000. So the decision was made by the mayor and council to explore an alternative approach, and that's where the splash pad came into being. Jill Dagan, our recreation director, had approached the mayor with the idea last fall, and that was proposed to council this past winter. Where we're currently at, it's been a long road. Big projects like this, I know there was a anticipated timeline of, hey, we're going to do this in 3 months, and I was rather dubious on that, just knowing the mechanism. So back in February, I had proposed to the council the initial engineer's estimate. We had asked for a straw poll and was given the go-ahead to pursue bids and the like. So where we're currently at is August 4th, 2 weeks from tonight. The negotiations ended actually a couple hours ago. I prepped a memo to the mayor. He's currently unavailable today, so we're going to discuss that later this week. There'll be a resolution and a full project memo going to council on August 4th. So August 4th is the time when the council can either go ahead with splash pad, go ahead with a community pool search, or you know, whatever council policy decides to dictate at that time. But the negotiations where they're at now, that was the final piece. The initial engineer's estimate was provided to you. It's going to be a little bit higher than that, and that's where we're at. So August 4th is the time I'd imagine we're going to have a rather lengthy debate on this, and policies to be made by council.
One of the I just had a quick question. You said the pool that's currently there from Flanders up there. What happened? There used to be a lot more families there, but it's not any longer.
I think
it's
closed.
They
As
closed
well
that
as
pool now?
as well as a member of the community, I'm also a parent on the swim team.
Okay.
We were welcomed there when they opened up a center court.
Right.
And from what I understand, they weren't very receptive of having us back pretty much the same month the bubble went up. Then they came out with a different policy. They opened it to the public, asking for about $1,000 to be opened on weekends and nights, like 6 to 9 or something. And I believe only 4 families were willing to sign up, so they decided not to have anybody use the pool. But the swim team was not welcomed once Center Court just made a management decision. And this is the second time in my tenure with the swim team being in a place under a public organization, a private organization, that we've been burned. So that's really a sidestep. It's really more about the community. It's really nice to have a community pool and something that's affordable, that's local, that you don't have to drive too far, and to be part of Mount Olive.
Understood. Mr. Roman? Mr. Manning?
You had stated that you have concerns with the splash pad. What is your concerns?
Well, right now, there's no recreation note meetings past past March on the website. So I even checked tonight. So I don't know we don't know what's going on. It was free, is my understanding. So I just anticipate a lot more garbage and attracting more people, a lot of swimmy diapers. Do you need lifeguards? They're digging into Turkey Brook. That's always going to go over estimate with all the rocks that are here, which I understand that we can't have the pool at Turkey Brook, but the exploratory research is there land in this town that somebody's willing to work with us so that we could have something like that.
Mr. Manning?
Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we not purchase equipment already for the splash pad?
Yeah, the nozzles and the towers and that they're already on site.
So we already have that equipment. So how would we just say we're not going to do this?
That's up to council. It's if you
That'd be a tough decision to make.
Mr. Roman?
Sean, can we direct the rec department to, because I'm sure they probably looked in the past about as far as a community pool, as to if Jill can send a memo as to what she had done in the past, because this sounds to me like it would be, if we were to actually explore in this, it would be something that's under her purview, as far as running it, especially if it's something that's anticipated to be revenue positive.
I'll ask her to explore it and come to the August 4th meeting. I believe there was arrangements at the Vasa pool. Is that true with the swim team this year, or?
Yes, the swim team is there. It's not
the same, I understand.
it's not legal for a swim team, but and the pool is still privately held. They did make an arrangement for the swim team, keep families, but I still have neighbors who, one of them doesn't want to pay $1,000 for their 2-year-olds to go to Chester, so they're at Roxbury.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just know the swim team, but again, it doesn't solve the problem with the swim team.
And I know this isn't going to happen, like, oh, well, we'll just, there is a possibility of maybe using some of the stuff at the splash pad for a community pool. I don't see this happening again in 3 months. I see this as a longer-term project, but just want to, there's been talk over the years since I've been a member of a pool-type community, and no, I don't think anyone's ever really come to you and said, hey, what's going on, or can we start something like this, or at least recently. I know when Flanders Valley was closed, there was legal issues, but I'm just, coming here, representing a couple of families, and I know I can get a lot more.
I was going to say, when before the pool was sold to that new company that 3 years ago, Rob did come to us, and we did talk about possibly purchasing it and using the pool, and the cost was entirely too high. But Jill did research on it then, so she should have all that those documents, because we thought that'd be a great idea, like take that and turn that into a community pool area. But I don't remember exactly what the costs were, but it ended up being more than. But of course, at that time we still had the beach open, and there was no consideration of closing the beach. So it's all in timing, I think. And if it was a different time, if we didn't have the beach, maybe that $50,000 would have been well spent on a community pool. I don't know specifically. So, but Jill, I know she should have that.
I'll invite
research.
Jill back for the next meeting. You guys will have all the resolutions for the splash pad, and I would invite you and your other concerned friends to come on August 4th, and like we always do, we'll get all the facts out and make a policy decision and go from there.
One other thing too, Deb had sent us an email Deb
Burley?
Furlow, or no, Burley?
Burley? Okay.
And so I'd sent back an email, I said, what specific questions? So what I would just like to ask you, before the August 4th meeting, if you could shoot Sean an email and have very specific questions, instead of saying, well, we're going to have to research this and we'll get back to you, they can get the information ahead of time so that we have all the facts in one spot at the meeting. Understand what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah. I mean, a lot of this was hearsay, and what I was told was to come to a meeting, get it on record, and so we can move forward or with new business. Because I think this is something that we would like to work with people in the town, somebody in the town to do a real search and a real thorough investigation into this, instead of just saying,
Yeah, and like I was saying to Sean earlier, there's a lot of property that we've actually acquired over the years in town, but unfortunately with the Highlands Preservation, a lot of the opportunity or possibilities we have went by the wayside with that, because we can't do anything with it. But it'd be nice if there was a place, and we could certainly research it and check into it. It's certainly a big enough community. But, and I look at Hackettstown, that I've never been there, but that pool's, I understand, they're busy all the time. Vasa Park pool, even though it's not heated, I understand it's really busy there too. So, and Chester. Where is it in Chester?
actually, they have a nice arrangement. They share their parking lot with a school.
Oh, okay.
So they have very good utilization of public space off of North Road, I believe.
Okay. Off of North Road? I'll have to check that out. Hey, maybe at Sand Shore, instead of putting those solar panels in that back lot, maybe we can do a community pool there. Plenty of parking.
Do whatever you guys.
That would be a good location right there. That, in my opinion, nice and flat, lots of parking.
As long as it's legal and ethical.
That's
I'm all
right.
about it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Open this one up, we're ready. All right, I call to order the council meeting for July 21st, 2015. Lisa, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the municipal building, 204 Flanders Drakes Town Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda, Mrs. Laybow,
Here.
Mr. Mania,
Here.
Mr. Roman,
Here.
Mr. Frente,
Here.
Mr. Nacastro.
Here. Okay, we have a motion for, did we have a motion for any nomination? Mr. Mania?
Mr. President, I nominate Greg Stewart as the replacement for Ray Perkins on the council.
Second.
Second. Do we have any other nominations? Mr. Roman?
I nominate Ralph Ruggiero.
Second.
Okay. Close nominations, I guess. Where's on that one? And then we need a roll call, please.
Roll call on Mr. Stewart.
Roll call on Mr. Stewart.
Just a point of order,
Yeah.
is it that the first candidate to reach a majority wins? So in other words, if in the first round, Mr. Stewart gets a majority, correct, right?
Is that how it works?
So just, so at least everybody's aware.
Okay. Mrs. Laybow,
Yes.
Mr. Mania,
Yes.
Mr. Roman,
Yes.
Mr. Frente,
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart is the winner.
So we thank you. Mr. Ruggiero, thank you very much. Certainly qualified candidate, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you soon.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes, Ms.
Since we have Mr. Ruggiero's here and very willing to volunteer, do we have committees that we can put
Well,
him on?
yeah, we can look
Please?
into that for him, for sure. Definitely look into that and let him know.
You'd be happy to know I did build Olympic-sized swimming pools.
There, he's going to be the chair of our swimming party.
Already enlisted him to a chamber committee.
There you go.
Oh, good. I think, does Greg you get sworn in now, and you get to sit up here.
Come on, Greg.
Go up
Sworn
to
in.
the,
Time to be sworn at.
You gotta be sworn in and sworn out.
Not sworn at, sworn
I've
in.
been married for 30 years. I've been sworn in.
Who would hire
Let me take pictures.
I, Greg Stewart,
I, Greg Stewart,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in the state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of Mount Olive Township Councilperson
of Mount Olive Township Councilperson
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You know that by heart by now.
I thought I stumped her.
Congratulations.
As is tradition, you gotta give everybody $20.
I'm in. No problem. I thought we upped it. He told me it was 50, so this is a break.
Strike
Okay.
that from the record.
You strike that from the records. We don't want to, that's all right.
For the record, they're just kidding.
Just kidding.
Oh.
Anyway, welcome, Mr. Stewart. And Mr. Ferrante can't. Mrs. Laybow, would you approve the minutes from the previous meeting for the workshop and public meeting?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of minutes of the July 7th, 2015 workshop and public meeting. Mr. Amianda and Mr. Ferrante were absent.
I'll second it.
We didn't vote? Oh, yeah. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stewart, you would abstain.
Stain.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Abstain.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. All right, we have a total of 22 pieces of correspondence. Anyone have any questions on that? Seeing none, we have no ordinances for first or second reading. We do have 14 resolutions. Mr. Maney, make sure I do it better. Does anyone wish any to be non-consent? Seeing none, Mr. Mania, would you move resolutions?
President, I move for the approval of the consent resolutions 1 through 14.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stewart?
I abstain.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Oh, now I can?
We have one item, bill list, one motion for the bill list. Mr. Roman?
I move for approval of the bill list.
Second.
Roll call, please. Any discussion? None? Roll call, please.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Administrative reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mayor apologizes for being unable to attend tonight. I do have some comments from him. He wanted to congratulate the Mount Olive 15U travel baseball team. They've won the Babe Ruth New Jersey State Championship on Friday night. It's now back-to-back state titles for the group of young men, and they now head to the Middle Atlantic Regional Tournament in South Colony, New York, starting this Friday. Good luck at the regionals and try to bring home another championship. Movie night at Turkey Brook Park is this Friday, July 24th at 8:30 p.m. If it rains, the backup location will be held in the Senior Center. I don't know. I was told to make the popcorn. I have two grants I previously had emailed to council. One is a Morris County Historic Preservation Trust grant for the former Baptist church. This work will be subsequent to the exterior work that we see going on now. We received the grant in the amount of $162,260. I'd like to cite, as I did an email, our historical architects, Connolly and Hickey, as well as Kathy Murphy. They do a great job on both the Seward Mansion as well as the Baptist Church, so it's another nice grant to finish that along. And the second one is a grant agreement, $217,000. This is for the Highlands Conformance Plan. So again, this is the wheelhouse of Catherine and Chuck, and they're doing a great job. And Highlands is not an easy task, subject, nor set of regulations, and we're certainly one of the more successful towns in dealing with it.
That's it. Thank you. Any old business? Seeing none, any new business? Seeing none, any legal matters?
Thank you, Council President. Just one item real quick. As Sean mentioned before, our office was very happy to bring the Sincarfa issue to a resolution with a lease termination agreement that we thought was very favorable to the township. So other than that, I have nothing specific tonight.
Thank you. Council reports. Mr. Ferranti, anything on environmental, lake, or library?
Library have their trustees meeting was yesterday. Just some quick notes. Their summer reading success program. They had 424 children register and 72 teens for a total of 66 different summer programs. The largest one that they had was the Rizzo's Reptile Program, where they had 156 people in attendance. They have made the decision that they will not be going through with the Fall Festival for this year. On July 1st, they hosted an evening with Bill Sturm. He unveiled new pieces of art for the Antler Ridge Wildlife Sanctuary, and has requested, that'll be actually on August 14th, that they'll be unveiling that. They had a art and conversation on July 1st with him. And that's all.
Thank you. Ms. Labow, Seniors, Economic, TNR, and MOTV. Any news?
Nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Roman, Open Space or Recreation?
Recreation is recreating. There's nothing to report on that. But on Open Space has would like to pass along a request to stop planting Japanese barberry. According to experts in attendance, the Japanese barberry, though cheap to plant, is the breeding ground for ticks.
That's absolutely true.
Good
So,
Is this something we've been doing, or?
Yeah, who's been doing it?
the planting, I understand it, I can't tell the difference between Japanese barberry and Burberry, but
I know when I get ticks.
they seem to say that we are planting them.
We are.
So that would be a request from the Open Space Committee.
Thank you. Board of Health, we don't have a meeting till August, but along those lines, I forgot, I know on the 30th is the senior picnic coming
I
up
was gonna say,
next
that's-
Thursday.
yeah.
So that, just keep in mind. Mr. Maney, anything on legislative or planning?
Planning, I attended the meeting on July 16th, and we had an application before us, a new car dealership on Route 46 next to the Subaru.
Right.
They were supposed to donate $18,000 to the tree bank, and they asked for relief. They didn't want to donate anything, and I asked why. They said because they planted some extra shrubs on the. I said, well, that doesn't satisfy me. I need the $18,000 to the tree bank. So there was some concession made by the rest of the board, and as a result, they donated 10,000 of the 18. Better than nothing. I said I wasn't happy with
Right,
it.
but
We have an ordinance, and let's abide by it.
thank you. Anyone from the public? Seeing none, close to the public. Council comments, Mr. Stewart, I'll be the first one to welcome you anyway from here. Go out of order and welcome to the council, and it's your turn now.
Well, I just thank everybody for the honor and also the fact that I think both of us were really eager and also both of us were really excited by the fact that you guys considered it. So I look forward to working with everybody here and supporting the town.
Thank you. Ms. Labow, anything?
I just want to thank Ralph for throwing his hat in the ring, and hopefully the hat's going to stay there, because we certainly need great volunteers, and I know you'll do a great job in whatever committee you're on, and numerous committees. We have lots of spaces. And I want to congratulate Greg for on board with the council, and I think you're going to be a wonderful asset to our council, and congratulations.
Thank you.
I too want to congratulate Greg. I've known Greg many years, and I'm sure he'll do an excellent job. I also want to congratulate Mr. Ruggiero, and I hope that we can appoint you to some committee, and hopefully we can work together, and I'm sure you'll be very successful. Thank you.
Obviously, it goes without saying, and welcome to the board. And when I was first elected on here, to quote somebody else
You're on a roll
And-
tonight.
And Mr. Ruggiero, I definitely hope to see you volunteer in other avenues and hopefully, maybe a pool.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yep, I echo what everybody else has said. Welcome,
Except the
Mr.
Sunday
Stewart.
remark, right?
Yes, that's right. Welcome, Mr. Stewart, and Ralph, hopefully we'll see you around still.
And I'm sure we will see Ralph around. Once you get your hooks in, you're not gonna let you go, so we'll find something, believe me, that you'll wanna and help us out. Should be a great asset too. Thank you. Does anyone, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Very good.
It's official. Okay. I wanna get.
And these have to stay here.
Oh, this stays here? Okay.
Well,
this is what you're just talking, okay.
That's good, though. I sort of
Just an FYI, because in case he said everything was fine and it's not an issue, so if you get a complaint,
And, or you can go right online and